Hello dear viewers and welcome back to the Action Window. Today I've got a build for you that in my mind at least is one of the best DPS focused builds in the game. So why do I think that? Well, this build is just pure good stuff, baby. Unequaled one-shot potential, value generation, survivability, team utility, and monster killing. Well, you better believe that's a... Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Big Game Hunter. At the core of this build, we have the three pillars of it that truly make it the DPS machine that it is. These are Executioner Stance, the new Keystone Focus Target, and the iconic Plasma Gun. Now this weapon has had its ups and downs over the course of Darktide's lifespan, but patch 14 restored this thing to its status as a god tier weapon, giving it a much needed damage boost and also some pretty fucking insane levels of cleave. The first question you probably have is why Executioner's Stance on the Plasma? Well, there definitely are some one-shot breakpoints you miss without Executioner's Stance. And of course, it helps with the cleave factor I just outlined above, but we're not just taking it for that. We're taking it for a second reason as well, and that's wall hacking. In case you were unaware, the Plasma has the caveat of being able to shoot through geometry, which means that it gives precisely zero fucks about rooms full of gunners in cover. I don't know if you've noticed recently, but the spawn generator seems to really like spawning rooms full of gunners, and as it turns out, having X-ray vision with a gun that can shoot through walls deals with that scenario rather well. Moving on to the Keystone Focus Target, and in and of itself this Keystone is just really strong. It's both highly efficient and team friendly, as it accelerates the whole team's damage. The target you ping is going to be taking anywhere between 4% to 32% extra damage, averaging around 12 to 16% consistently. Killing the priority target also activates the Redirect Fire Talent, a passive damage buff for the whole team based on the number of focused target stacks active on the enemy when it died. This talent is an auto take along with the Focused Fire Talent as they synergize with each other nicely, and because this buff is endlessly topped up every time a focused target dies. You can pretty much guarantee that this buff will be maxed out as long as you're continuously pinging new focused targets. And guess what? The Plasma Gun absolutely loves all this extra damage, as it means you can start doing silly stuff like one-shotting both Rager types in Executioner Stance. But getting to the raison d'etre of our build here, the justification for the name, that's the monster hunting. The Plasma Gun already has pretty great unyielding damage, and in combination with this Keystone it becomes the Veteran's premier boss killer. I mean, just check this out. So that's really the gist of the build, but what about the potential downsides? Veteran is a bit of a glass cannon these days, and in my opinion, one of the harder classes to play because of this fact. So fragility is certainly one downside of running Executioner's Stance, but also the nature of our gun works against us at times as well. With great power comes great responsibility and all that. While being unparalleled in the art of dealing death, the Plasma Gun has a few drawbacks to keep its power in check. Chief amongst these is its ammo consumption. To put it bluntly, this gun is hungry, and when you're firing it constantly as per the demands of high difficulty modifiers, it can run dry pretty quickly. Luckily for the Big Game Hunter, these weaknesses have been considered and adapted to accordingly. Because we've gone down to the bottom of the middle tree for the Keystone, it means we're 100% taking Iron Will and the 25 plus toughness node. Additionally, because of the option to run Glory Hunter on the Plasma Gun alongside the obviously excellent confirmed kill, it means that as long as you're killing elites and specialists, your toughness will be above the threshold for Iron Will to be working its magic. Thanks to efficient pathing, we're also able to splash into Demolition Stockpile for regenerating grenades for a mere 2 points. a luxury that's sadly not always available to veterans in this current patch because of opportunity cost. Speaking of grenades, we're running shredder frags here, which are the best choice for our build as they give us the much needed space in high enemy density situations, helping us to survive those moments where a massive wave of melee elites crashes against the party. On the issue of ammo scarcity, we are of course running Scavenger in this build to help give our weapon as much mileage as we can, as ammo pickups from the map will not be enough on their own to keep it firing the whole game. Finally, our choice of melee weapon is another factor to consider to help us survive situations where we're really pressed in melee. And for me, the undisputed best options here are either the Humble Shovel or your preferred mark of Devil's Claw. The shovel has the benefits of a big stamina bar, loads of dodges, amazing mobility speed, and excellent crowd control in its light and heavy attacks to help us wriggle out of situations where you might normally be feeling checkmated. On the other hand, you have the Devil Claw, which also has great defensive options as well as the parry special attack, which is just so damn good at handling enemies with brutal melee attack chains, such as the Chaos Spawn and Packs of Rages. There's no doubt in my mind that these are the best options to run alongside the plasma. Our gun is there to kill the dangerous enemies, so what we need our melee weapon to do is provide us with safety and keep us nimble, while also providing horde clear as and when we need to. When it comes to building the perfect plasma gun, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you guys. It's one of the most resource intensive guns to build in the entire game. The key to an amazing plasma gun is starting with a perfect base weapon, and to achieve this you are completely at the mercy of the RNG fiesta that is Brunt's Armory. To make matters even worse, the plasma gun requires a very specific set of modifier rolls to be perfect, thanks to an annoying quirk of how the charge speed affects the weapon's damage. And also it's one of the few weapons in the game without a dump stat, meaning you can't get away with a bad base weapon. Now I could honestly make a whole video on this weapon alone, but if you want to know what to look for in terms of perfect modifiers, you'll want to start with damage and stopping power both at 79 or 80, ammo and the thermal modifier both above 60%, and most importantly, a very specific charge rating of 64%, 80%, or in the world of perfect god rolls, 73%. If that sounds weird to you, here's an amazing damage chart for how the charge rate modifier of your plasma gun affects your damage. Read it carefully. There is a silver lining with this weapon. Once you've got perfect modifiers from Brunt, it's actually quite hard for Hadron to brick it, as the most important thing to craft onto the weapon is perks. Blessings are a secondary concern on the weapon, because while they all do stuff, the perfect blessing combination is very much a nice to have rather than essential for the weapon to work. Depending on how close you came to rolling those perfect modifiers, you will 100% want either 25% versus unarmored and 10% versus elite, or if you got the god roll, 25% versus unarmored and 25% versus unyielding. Having these perks will comfortably allow you to hit the one-shot breakpoints on the majority of enemies you need to kill in one shot in the game. Whereas if you got the god rolled version, the 25% versus unyielding is just going to speed up your boss killing even more. Talking a bit about plasma gun blessings now. Blaze Away and Gets Hot will push your monster damage even further, as these are the targets that will survive a hit from the plasma gun and thus have the HP pools where these blessings come into play. Glory Hunter is a pretty good option and gives you even more toughness regeneration that can be really handy when confirmed kill is your only toughness regeneration choice. At the bottom of the blessings pile we have Shattering Impact and Volatile. Shattering Impact isn't ideal because it's a very marginal damage buff and the brittleness stacks on monsters doesn't really matter that much, but at least it's not dead. Volatile, on the other hand, is complete garbage and actually makes the plasma gun worse in some instances because of the way it interacts with the weird charge rate bug. So of all the things that Hadron can put on your weapon to brick it, Volatile is the one to watch out for. Ideally, you want to avoid this at all costs. For the build's melee choices, this is how I would build both of the weapons I recommended in an ideal world. Remember, it's there to keep us safe and deal with hordes as its primary function, so these loadouts will do you proud. They're also getting a nice damage bump from rending strikes, meaning they'll hit a bit harder versus armored targets, which is Flak, Carapace, Maniac, and Unyielding. When it comes to what I like on my Curios for this build, I personally run 2 toughness and 1 health blessing Curio, and ideally I want a mix of the following perks, rated top to bottom in order of priority. So thank you for watching this far. Finally, here's a snapshot of the entire build. Happy hunting, veterans. That's gonna be it for this one. If you watched the entire video up until this point, thank you so much again. Video view time is everything to small channels, and simply by watching to the end of this video, you've helped me, my channel, and this video enormously. Enjoy the build, and I'll see you in the next one.